So, Jake, I truly appreciate this. I know that you did
That's
not
fun.
have to do this, but but
I don't get to talk about that much, so I really
yeah,
enjoy
yeah,
talking
it was
about
fun.
it.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
do it again.
We should have told Tom about that. We'll have to save it for next time. When you and me set the load of gear with Saul.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I
Oh,
totally
okay.
that was the best one.
Oh, we have to talk about your guy.
Oh fuck.
You guys, we're still recording on the Zoom, and
Oh.
no, that's fine, and that's fine. I mean, it's cool. We're not on the radio, but again, yeah, there's a lot of stories here, and we've all
Yeah, I
gone.
mean, no, because is I keep on telling Jake is how to pivot. Life moves on, but how you pivot into that next phase, and the thing is, I mean, I truly believe in my heart that Jake and I can truly affect many people's lives. One is sharing our story, with mental health, suicide, me, speech, but two is really, I mean, really helping people how they work as effective teams, how they communicate better, and how to connect at the heart. Because at the end of the day, we need more love and compassion in this world. And now it's just black and white.
Well, you know what, Jake, I wanted to mention to you that last night at dinner, when we went to dinner with Jen and Tony, he mentioned how working on your is it a ship or is it a boat? How do you guys?
Kind of both.
Okay, so when he's working on your boat and he's working for you, how the teamwork is so. And he mentioned a little bit about his team in the operating room, but your team on the boat is actually more impressive because you have, the people. And Tony was saying how, in healthcare, you get different, it's like having a group of all-stars all the time coming in and this rotating roster of people. And how would you like it if on your boat, you stopped at the island and you picked up, a new crew every time you stopped?
It sucks when you fish gray cod. When you fish gray cod and you run 24/7 operation and you have a relief skipper and you have rotating crew, it's similar to that. And it's a fucking nightmare because you're like, oh shit, I got that guy. That guy's not going to work for this thing. And now why can't I get that guy out here right now? Because I want to put that guy over here. And it's just a constant calamity. And a lot more problems happen in those moments than they do when I have the same team, the same people, because we all know when Joe's getting tired and he's probably going to twist his leg. Oh, it's about that time. All right, hey, let's go inside and get something to eat, guys, and then, or however it works, like you can see, we have one of the 24/7 operations on the show, and there's always a lot of injuries, and I attribute it one with that because you have so many new people coming in and on shift that they have to get acclimated. Even I do when I go up into the wheelhouse after a run. I have to look at my everything and figure out what's going on. Well, that's no different than somebody going into, like when I went to a spinal surgery and watching some other person come in. Didn't matter how good they were, you still got to figure out what the hell's going on and what part of the surgery you're in.
That's what Tony was saying. That's what he was saying last night at dinner. It was like, yeah, you would have and they're all stars. Everybody's an all-star in their own way, but it's the team, it's the group. It's like no one and having each other's back.
Yeah, well, but the other important thing is in the operating room, there is a lot more egos than you think. When you're on that boat, even though there may be egos, but literally, if you have an ego, someone's going to actually get hurt. And so there's no ego. There's no ego. There's one team. Everyone has their back.
Oh, it's deadly, Tom. Ego is. It helps in certain situations to power you through things like the ice, but you have to know how to deal with it. A perfect example is Exxon Valdez. That was a problem that happened due to ego. The captain was sleeping in his room, but it was the third mate who told the chief mate, hey, I don't think the autopilot's working. And the chief mate said, well, what do you know? You're below me. And next thing you know, the chief mate ran the boat aground. He's the one that did the damage. Nobody ever remembered him. And that's a perfect example of what can go wrong in the operating room as well, especially when you have these people that have invested so much money in schooling and everything, and you have Tony there actually trying to watch over as he's working.
Right.
It'd probably be different if we put Tony in a window watching it with a hailer and said, hey, listen, dickhead, what are you doing? Get that goddamn rag out of there. You two shut up over there. Nobody cares about how good you are. You two out. You bring in so-and-so. Instead, you got Tony who's got to sit there and rewire this individual as he's trying to manage these people. He looks to his right and there's already 3 new people in the room. Every time he looks, there's somebody new. Like, oh my God.
Let me ask both you guys this, because it just made me think of something. What do you do? How do you not get pissed off when you're in the middle of something that's like really intense and you're like in the moment and you can't lose your cool, but you're fucking boiling? And it's like, God dang it. Okay, first you, Tony, how do you deal with that in the operating room? How do you keep your emotions in check? I mean, on a boat,
Yeah.
Jake, it's probably the same thing with you, but Tony, how do you do it? You first.
Yeah, the thing is, it's important to stay calm, is because once you're, is you have to take the emotion out of it, and because
how do you do that?
Yeah, it's just practice. It is because in the operating, you really have to be calm, and on the boat too. I mean, Jake and the crew, I mean, they're very calm. I mean, it's
How did
really.
Jake, is it just reps? Because I'm a trainer as well, and I try to help people understand that the more reps that you get, the better you get at these things. Just like your skateboarding career, just like everything you've talked about. But is it just reps? How do you keep your emotions in check when you're rolling in the Bering Sea? That's just got to be, to me, I have a hard time conceptualizing that whole thing. How do you do it?
I think you just have to know yourself, because I'm not perfect at it. And one thing that's nice about me that differs from Tony is Tony's right next to everybody, and he has rules. As a captain, I'm in charge of that's my own country. Like, I can arrest people, I can do whatever I want. Plus, I'm hidden back in the wheelhouse. So when you have a television show filming it happens a little different. Like, I can not yell at the crew. Like, let's say where I have emotional problems is safety. When I see people breaching safety protocol, and I've told them time and time again, well, I have the option to release my stress and anger in the wheelhouse. I start screaming. I'll scream in the wheelhouse. They won't know it, but I'll have to get it out. Plus, I'm highly aggressive. So, I'm trying to get through hours and hours. Like, my day starts and I don't know when it's going to end. It could be 70 hours. It could be 12 hours. It could be, who knows? So the hardest thing I deal with is the same thing I think people will deal with, and that's management of people, because you can't control them. And so when they start doing their things and risking lives of other people, that's usually where my emotions really I struggle with. And like you were just saying, and Tony was just saying it, I have to practice it all the time. I don't even think I'm good at it. I'm good with like big waves and being in full control of my crew and everything, and possibly dying that way. But once you start seeing people doing things, we don't have control of each other. We only have the perception of control of each other.
Right. So how do you teach? I mean, when you're on a boat like that, do you take people that are like a Tony, who is a greenhorn? Is that what you say, a greenhorn? How do you, that's just got to be stressful as hell for you to just not know, because of the safety features. I mean, do you put them through classes first? How do you know that these people at least know anything?
So what I do is I take an athletic approach to it.
Right.
because crab fishing is fun that way because it's a sport and you can train at the dock. Well, people laugh at me a lot because I will literally do the job at the dock in a controlled environment. We bring Tony in and Tony shows us all how to do stitches. It's really very simple. It's just people don't want to do that. They think it's beneath them, especially in like crab fishing. This isn't a sport. Well, that's why we're better than you, is because when we go to the dock, we work to become better, whether it's at setting goals for ourselves in the future, or learning stitches, or practicing firefighting, or practicing how to set pots or bait pots, because we'll bait at the dock. That's the first thing Tony did, was bait the pots up at the dock when there was no pressure.
Yeah,
And so a lot of that, people
all
will
those
go out and
bags.
drink instead. And they make it really easy, Tom, to really just pass them by. And that's how I did it so fast. The people are successful because they want to be successful. I'm good at the dishes because I go and I get a cup of coffee and I get my stuff ready. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do the dishes real well, right? Most people don't do that. They go into college and they're like, I'm gonna get said degree. But what do you want to do? Well, I don't really want to do that, but I just want the money and the prestige. Well, then why the hell are you doing that?
That's why,
Like, you're gonna fail miserably.
that's where people need to read your book, because in your book, you talk about that, where you had to climb and earn the right to do this next job. And you did that next job once you got your first job done, and it was done efficiently and complete. Then you could go volunteer to go do the next thing to prove that you were worthy of climbing the ladder, right? I mean, that's the takeaway I got from your captains that you trained under.
The boat that I was on didn't need me. They wanted me just really for TV. Subsequently, they wanted somebody to just do bait. They didn't want to take the time to train anybody. Well, I was hungry. I wanted to go places. And some boats, if you get on like some boats, it's great because you'll have people quitting all the time and you can move up. Like, I was watching some of my friends, they were becoming engineers right away because of the boats they were on. And well, we didn't have that. So I had to do my job. And then if I had any energy left, I had to do the next job. And that's the only time I could do that job, because and if I made too much TV, it took away from the owners who were making TV too. So it was a way to, it worked beautifully, but I don't think the intention for me to get better that way was not, that was not the way of the leadership. That was just a result of me powering through all their defenses to,
It's your
they just
desire.
wanted me to do what they said. And I was like, no, I am going to learn this stuff and I'm going to go where I want to go. And
Yeah, you set your own parameters and you set your growth pattern. And Tony, I want to ask you, because the same thing goes with your surgical skills. I mean, you just got to put in the reps, right? I mean, you got to just, and that's where these residents and all, all the, I don't even know how many years of school.
No, but I think you have to be willing to give them some leeway. And the thing is I like actually Jake probably give some leeway, and I don't step in until I know that someone may get hurt, and and so I think that's why that safety is freedom is because for me is, in order to learn, you have to do it, but you have to do it in a safe zone. And I think, like Jake said, is you're doing it on dock, first, as I remember, I mean, I did what, 60, 80 bait bags, I mean,
no, there was 200. We had 200
okay,
pots,
whatever it was.
or maybe it was 100 and then you did 100 again.
I don't remember, but packing that herring in, and then fucking Jake and Joe and other people, come on, pack the bag. You need more fucking kids in there. And I'm like, fucking guys, I'm doing it. No, you gotta more. They said I can't fucking lift it. I mean,
Dude, Tom, I can't wait till you hear the story when Tony tells you about the next season he came out with me when the crew tested positive for COVID.
Yeah.
And here I'm sitting, Tom, I'm sitting talking to production, right? About the COVID tests themselves, right? And Tony just came as the chief medical officer for oh my God, Michigan State. And I'm talking to this line producer, and I'm like, are those PCR tests? Because Tony's asking me the questions to ask him, and they're like, yes. And Tony's like, yeah, I don't think they are. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not sure if I can trust those tests. I want to test again because I've got the chief medical officer from Michigan State, and I'm pretty sure he knows more than anybody in the state of Alaska about this stuff. And she goes, I highly doubt that. And Tom, I went fucking crazy on the phone. I go, just give me the fucking information about the test, you fucking bitch. I was name dropping, Tom, you know. I was like, he's a fucking neurosurgeon. Anyway, we go out, right? So they quarantine my three top people.
Oh no!
In a container, right? A container housing, like a shipping container.
It's
snow out. There was rats in the thing, right? And this is how production treated our team. But we were okay with it because we're the SOG. We were like, okay, you know. Of course, they give Northwestern's team that got it. They gave them a nice room, and they got fed steak. And here my people are. They won't even bring them over lunch and dinner on time or breakfast, and they're the ones that caused them to be in the quarantine, because otherwise without the show they would have been able to work because they're essential. And so I'm like, fuck it, we're going out, Tony. We're gonna go out shorthanded, me, the greenhorn, and the summertime engineer who doesn't know anything really about dealing with pots, and we're gonna set this fucking gear. Well, the production company is like,
what are pots?
Those are the crab pots.
So you drop them in the water or something? That's how you catch the crabs? I don't mean to sound complete dumbass.
No. They're 800-pound steel square pots, basically. Each of them is about 800 pounds. They're huge. And they've been known to kill people all the time. And
you got Dr. 5 million on your shorthanded staff?
Yeah, so we're going out there. Tony, right? He's done a little bit, but you know, and the engineer who's done even less, the summertime engineer who's done less than Tony and knows less about it because he's involved in the boats. He's not involved in the fishing. He doesn't care about the actual fishing, where Tony does. Anyway, so you got Tom, who's been there with me at the time for about 4 or 5 years, been around boats for 40 years. And then you have Saul, who's like an ex meth head prison inmate, right? And he's a young guy. He's like 22 or whatever. He's bunked with this neurosurgeon. He's talking about freaking raping people and all this, like,
it was crazy. I mean, wasn't it?
I can't tell if it's a joke or not, and he scared the shit out of me.
Oh my God. We're going to be able to put this on my YouTube channel. Yeah, I think we can. I think this is going to be like some classic shit here. Sandy just brought me a note and she said, you guys should record another episode right now. But I gotta, it's like, no, I'm not going to.
The Tony being a possible rape victim is the least of our concerns at this time. I mean, we actually have real shit to worry about. Like, we're about to go out with an insufficient crew, with inexperience, and guess the worst part, it's blowing northeast like 40 knots, and we got to travel for over 24 hours in heavy freezing spray with a full load of gear on. Most dangerous conditions that you could possibly travel in. And here we go. We go out. We get out there to set the gear, and Tom, the engineer, who's been telling us, I've been around boats for 40 years, I can crab. He takes one look at the block of ice that is now the crab pots. And we're talking This is an entire building that is now ice. It's like breaking ice off your entire house, including the roof. And not just the roof. The roof is going up and down 20, 30 feet, and it's going side to side 20, 30 feet. So you have to climb up on the roof, and it's ice, and you have to break it all off, or you're gonna fucking die. Anyway, I go outside, and the greenhorn's out there, Saul, you know, the rapist, the possible rapist that we don't know.
Allegedly.
Of the alleged rapist.
Let's say allegedly, so we're covered here, okay? Allegedly.
I don't think he ever raped anybody, but he was here talking prison talk that Tony scared the living shit out of him.
I mean,
Talking about male on male rape and prison stories, and I fucking was just couldn't stop laughing because I wasn't afraid, but I'm used to that violent atmosphere, work atmosphere, you know. There's no OSHA out there for crabbers. Anyway, so I go outside, ice everywhere, Tom, and we're talking, you look at the amount of work it takes if you've never done it before. If you had a gun in your hand, Tom, you'd probably, a normal sane person would step foot out that door, and if you told them what they had to do in order to not only live but then to continue fishing for free, possibly, they would take that gun and shoot themselves right away. You'd find out how truthfully everybody is willing to commit suicide, not just some. So anyway, I walk out the door, and my engineer, right, looks at me and goes, "Dude, I fucking can't do this. This is fucking stupid." And I'm like, okay, so here I am.
I'm not going out there. I'm done. I'm not going out there. Like,
okay, so we're just gonna die. All right, we'll just die. Because you'll sink, Tom. You'll get so heavy because each wave creates a layer of ice. Anyway, so I go back up. I go, "It's okay, Tom. Everything's fine. Don't worry about this. I'll do this stuff." And this is like a 6-man job over like a long period of time. So I take Tony up and I go, "Hey, Tony, you're setting the gear."
You're setting the gear.
Already knew. So I give Tony a quick rundown, which I gave him a rundown on the way up. And Tony, I believed him. You know, I mean, it's the same he believed in me 15 years ago. I mean, I don't know why, but he did. And it was the same play. I'm like, "Yeah, well, he'll figure it out. He's gonna have to figure it out." I just make sure you hit F4, Tony, when the pot goes in the water. And if one of us goes over the side, just know we're fucked, because that person's going to be me. So I go out there. Now I've got to break pots, break ice off these pots, right? And so Saul's just filling the bait bag up and closing the door. So I have to climb up this stack of pots, break the ice off, because I don't want Saul up there because he'll slide off and die. We don't want the potential rapist dying. You know, we don't want to hurt anybody. You know, we don't know. We want to give him a possible chance at his success, which is raping men in prison. Anyway, so I climb up there, right? So I'm climbing from the ground, basically on top of a roof of a house. I got to break ice on the pot, hook up the crane, and then climb down, bring it down with the crane, land it. Usually you have a couple people to land it, but because it's rough weather, you're trying to land this pot in a small space, land it in there, break the ice off, bait the pot. Then I got to dump the pot when Tony tells me to dump it. Then I got to throw 135 pounds of frozen line, which is now it's probably 200 plus pounds because it's solid block of ice. So me and Tony do a whole load of that. By the end of it, it was funny because at the very end, then the engineer comes out, and here's the guy who's been with me for like 5 years. He's sitting next to Tony as Tony's now running the boat. Tony went from filling bait bags to now head of the operation. And at the end, the engineer comes out, and Saul, who I do love the guy. He's a young guy. He's just grew up in a rough rough places where rough things are cool and not cool things are cool. Anyway, so Tom makes me a tuna fish sandwich and comes and brings me out a sandwich, and it's this exhausting day for this poor kid and me. And Tom walks away, the engineer, and Saul goes, I like tuna fish sandwiches too. He basically ran an ultra marathon and nobody gave two shits about him. I mean,
I mean, you know, and but I mean, Tom, you know, the funniest part of the story. So the producers left the camera there, you know, and so during our extubates out there and coming back, you know, my role was to, you know, use, you know, the fucking camera, and Jake was talking. I mean,
oh
crazy.
yeah, we were also filming each other because the camera people couldn't come on the boat because there was a cord. Oh my God, that's right, Tony. So we had to also film too.
Yeah, we were filming, we're doing everything, you know, and I mean, it's no, but I must say though that you know, Jake said that running the boat is like riding a tractor, you know, and I mean, you know, and I must say that when you're riding up there, it's a powerful engine. I mean, Jake, I mean, it's powerful. I mean, you know, it's really kind of cool, you know. I mean, you know, but yeah, you know, plus, I mean, you know, the most important thing, I just wrote it down, but the cranberry ginger ale is what is magic. You know,
God, we were so seasick, Tom.
Oh my God, we were so seasick, and I'm telling you, that cranberry ginger ale was like magic. Well, wasn't it? I mean, the salt.
Yes.
And cranberry ginger ale. I mean, unbelievable. But
So do you sailors, do you still get sick in this rough seas, or do you ever get used to it?
They get fucking sick all the time.
Oh, I was barfing too with Tony. You know the best sailors get seasick, Tom, and you want to know who the best sailors are? Seagulls. Seagulls. They sail all day, but once you get them on that boat, man, they start throwing up. You got to get them off the boat or they'll die.
Yeah.
So even the best sailors. So I always say the best sailors get seasick. So you can see this is a good time to even tell you, Tom, too. This is why adversity and prosperity are the same. Adversity, if you deal with it, is far greater and far more powerful than getting and obtaining prosperity. Yeah. Because through that, what me and Tony became after that trip, unstoppable. Seasick, one man climbing up the stack and breaking the ice, and engineers sitting on the port side talking about, oh, life's so bad. Tony worried for his butthole.
No, but I mean, it was actually, you know, I can't wait to go up there again.
Yeah, dude.
But anyway,
I want to do this again.
Hey, Tom, thanks.
So what's your schedule? You know, when we go and do all of this stuff, Jake, when do you go back out? And you know, Tony's schedule is kind of crazy too, but this was so much fun. I would absolutely enjoy doing another recording session, and then the this post show video we're doing right now.
Sure, we can do something like that. It'd be kind of fun. Yeah,
I'm telling you,
it'd be fun.
It'll be fun. So whenever you guys want to do this again, I love talking about this kind of shit, because it's like people don't understand. People don't get how hard life can be. I mean, we're soft Americans. So
So I mean, just hearing Jake and I go, you know, it's do you think that this would resonate? You know, be because Jake and I are trying to, you know, form this consulting.
Yep.
You know, and I, you know, think, you know, those three themes about pitching it to hospitals, you know, one is that, but two is really, I mean, I think the stories resonate. And anytime we can raise awareness of mental health, that's
Oh, God.
actually a plus. You know, it's because we all three deal with it daily.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it doesn't just automatically cure. You
Jake,
know,
the
it never cures. It's a
biggest
process.
topic on my show, Jake, is if you look at over the 12 years we've been doing this, is mental health. I've had more mental
I
health
think that's important to
professionals
do.
on the show because I went through so much deep therapy to figure out my issues, and I'm so grateful to be alive. Yeah, Tony, this, when you see this, when you hear the podcast, and now you see the video and how I'm editing things,
Yeah.
you tell me what you think. I know this is going to be great. I mean, I just fucking know it. So, Jake, you got a green light anytime. If you want to set something up again, you know, in a month or so, and we record, because we're a month out. So I'll do the production work and we'll be out in a month. I don't know how you're scheduled, but this is fun just sitting here, the three of us.
Kind of fun to do. Yeah.
And it'll be so much better as we get better at this
Dude, it's so hilarious just getting to talk about those stories, because those stories don't come out as much on television, and that's really what my fans and what people like to hear and talk about are those stories.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's when you talk about a neurosurgeon that's like came from like Cornell, and then now he's with this person who has spent time in jail and grew up in a rough neighborhood, who he's now bunk partners with, and the boat rising up, and they really could die, and there's not a sufficient crew. And I mean, that's like one of those, like, I mean, you have those stories when you go out and like they went camping into the Northwest Pass, or they went camping up in the woods. Like, no, these stupid motherfuckers, they went camping out in the Bering Sea in the middle of fucking nowhere.
It's true.
There were no trees to hide under.
True.
Oh my God, this is so fucking hilarious.
And the neurosurgeon, I just think of when Tony said to me, I don't know about that Saul guy. He might rape somebody.
Hey, Saul, when Saul sees this, Saul, we love you. I'm sure you're a great guy, but it's all fun. Okay. So.
Oh, Saul, jump in. Saul, jump in on it. So be like, yeah.
We'll be jumping in. All right. Well, Jake, thanks.
Thank you,
all right, love you.
Take care. All right. See you guys. All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Jake. All right.
Thank you, Tony.
All right.
See ya. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm still recording this. I had no idea this was I kind of had a thought it might, but post-production, I've never had because we've only been doing the Zoom since the beginning of the year this year, you guys. So it's like, okay, how do I edit this? That was the greatest camping story on the Bering Sea ever. And so we're going to make it happen. We'll make it happen. And we never mentioned that Jake was like he's like some big hitter on some TV show and all this. And, you know, he's just another good guy. Like Tony is another good guy. And we'll be doing this again because obviously we had a lot of fun doing it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. And get ready, because when I cut this thing up and you see it all, the clean version, and then the end of show, if you know what I'm saying. Woo, baby. Smoking. Talk to you next time, everybody. Later. Peace out.